Hello, good morning and welcome, and thanks for joining us today for the next webinar in our What's New series. If you're a regular attendee, you'll have noticed something already. I'm not Craig. He'll be back with us next month, but for now he's taking some well-deserved holiday. If you've been a regular attendee for quite some time now, you might remember me. I'm Jenny and I started this webinar a few years back. I can't believe we've been providing these updates for so long, and it's amazing to see that there are still some names here that I recognise among the attendees from all that time ago. So really pleased to see you all today. Anyway, in today's webinar, we will be covering some of the newest features in Microsoft 365 that you can implement in your business, as well as covering some brand new features that are coming up in the next few months. Don't feel like you need to take notes or take it all in straight away, as we'll be sending out a recording of the webinar and a follow-up fact sheet at some point in the next week or so. Can't promise it will be with you today, but we will get it to you. Okay, and also if you have any other questions during the webinar, please feel free to drop those into the Q&A box at the side at any time, and I'll do my best to keep an eye on those. There will also be dedicated time for questions at the end of the webinar, so we'll get to those at the end as well. So what's on the agenda for today? We will start in Outlook with a handy Copilot Insights update. Then we'll be looking at the tidier chat-centered Copilot app. Then there's 2 new Copilot skills in PowerPoint to look at, as well as some custom AI skills in SharePoint. Finally, moving sort of slightly away from that AI heavy start, we'll be looking at some simpler meeting controls that are becoming available in Teams. And then finally, we'll be looking at what's next for this webinar series, and also what the next steps you can take as an organisation towards some of your security priorities. So, as I said, as always, it's great to see so many people coming back and joining us again, and welcome to all of the new faces. Let's start with an introduction to Bedroq itself. So Bedroq is an IT managed service provider and Microsoft solutions partner for security. This means that most of the IT we implement is based on the Microsoft stack. So that includes things like Microsoft 365, Teams, Azure, etc. And it also means that we meet all of the technical competencies, quality of service standards, and customer criteria that Microsoft demand in their IT security world. What Bedroq do as a whole is that we make technology work for the UK's most critical organisations. So in particular, where the Microsoft world collides with that is that we help financial services and other highly regulated organisations with their IT and security. The most important thing we want to achieve, no matter what your organisation does, is to make sure that your IT strategy is supporting your business as a whole. So many people we come across are investing heavily into their IT. They've bought all those apps and all of those licenses, but they're not using them to their full potential, or sometimes they are investing in licenses that overlap with one another, and they're not therefore getting the best return on investment from their money. So that's the aim of this webinar series, and has been from the start, to keep you up to date with everything that's coming out, everything that you can start using soon, and everything that you've probably already got but you might not know about. Hopefully, all of those things combined will help to make a big difference to your business strategy. As security specialists, Bedroq are well placed to be your cybersecurity partner. We're seeing an increasing number of cybersecurity attacks, unfortunately, and the rate of these is only going to increase further with the influence of AI, which can massively scale up criminals' ability to target companies just like yours on a massive scale. Recovery from something like this can be a lengthy and costly process, so it's increasingly important that any organisation of any size needs to be prepared for these kind of attacks. Bedroq has a lot of experience in working with organisations with high security requirements and also within those highly regulated environments. And we have cybersecurity specialists who are constantly monitoring that ecosystem and improving and changing our services to combat that threat. We're Cyber Essentials accredited, and we're also part of the National Cybersecurity Centre Industry 100, meaning we have a lot of knowledge and guidance that we can share with you. So if you're looking to assess or just better understand your cybersecurity needs and requirements, please do get in touch and we can help you discuss best practice, consult on where your organisation is, and help you prepare and make changes for the future. We also want you to understand the why behind these kind of attacks and help your staff understand that as well through training and getting your team up to speed. Because more often than not, it's not just a technology issue. So if that sounds of interest to you, please do drop me a line or get in touch via our website and we'll be able to help you with that. So without further ado, let's jump into the updates for today's webinar. So first up, we've got the Outlook user-initiated Copilot Insights. This one is just a nice quality of life update for those of you still using classic Outlook. So right now, if you get a text-heavy email, like one of those long threads that you end up CC'd into without any context, the only way to get Copilot's help with it is to open Copilot separately and paste the text across or just wade through it manually. So jumping between apps, having to scroll away from where you were, or just scroll back through the email chain or messaging various people to try and understand the context is exactly the kind of small friction that adds up throughout your day and really delays things. So this is what this update is hoping to target. So what you can do now with this update is that you can now highlight any block of text within an email in Classic Outlook for Windows and prompt Copilot directly from there for a contextual insight, explanation or summary. So what that means is there's no copying out and no switching apps. You can do everything directly within that Outlook app. It should only kick in when you choose to use it, so you're not going to get bombarded with those pop-ups and try Outlook messages that can get in your way sometimes. But it could be really useful for your specific role. An example I could think of is potentially a compliance analyst who's reading a regulatory notice, who could be just highlight a bit of text and say, what does this obligation actually mean for me? So you can do that within that email chain without having to paste sensitive info into a separate tool, which also keeps the data inside the tenant rather than moving it around. And again, as MSP within this world, that's something we're getting increasing numbers of questions about, is how can we keep our data safe when we know our staff want to be using AI tools and we are promoting the use of those AI tools, but how can we do that safely? So the other thing that this could be useful for is that it could just be helpful for cutting through big blocks of text and getting quick summaries from day-to-day emails as well. But it's a relatively small change, but it does remove what can be a genuinely quite annoying bit of friction that people have to do that copy paste or switch between apps dozens of times a day potentially. It should help you keep on track, keep up to speed with new information and help you stay on top of your priorities without having to do anything different or be concerned about a daunting email landing in your inbox where you don't have that background context. So next time you're stuck untangling a dense email, do try and highlight the text and ask Copilot for help before you reach for another app or dumping that potentially sensitive data into another AI tool that's not within your environment. So as it's a Copilot tool, please note that this one does require a Copilot license and it's specifically coming to Classic Outlook for Windows, not New Outlook. So you won't see it if you're on the newer client just yet, but it should hopefully be on the way. Latest we've heard on this being released is that it was due to roll out by the end of June. So some of you may already have it and some of you it will be coming very, very soon. So keep an eye out if you are one of those Copilot customers on Classic Outlook. Okay, our second update for the day. Up next, we're going to look at the Copilot app itself. So the Copilot app has grown quickly and it now has a lot of different surface areas where it's got chat, it's got agents, work content, tasks, all bolted together over successive updates. And honestly, that's kind of just led to the app feeling a little bit cluttered and clunky, especially if you don't use it often and you're not used to navigating all of those different tools. So getting to the right part of the app or knowing which agent you're actually talking to means digging through one of the long chat history sections without having a dedicated space for tasks. And there's at the moment no easy way to search across your agents, which leads to time wasted for both you and your IT team when in theory, obviously the whole point of Copilot is it's meant to be speeding up your workflow and your tasks. So Microsoft is giving the app, both the web version and the desktop version, a cleaner chat-first layout. So this will look like a simplified chat and response view, so more similar to some of those other AI agents out there, meaning better formatting preservation when Copilot generates content, a tidier navigation with new pin section and a dedicated tasks tab. It will have one single work IQ toggle for grounding responses in work data, and clearer labeling on agent details, so it's obvious which agent you're talking to. So here are some highlights from the redesign that we've included in this slide here. So a dedicated menu that's labelled at number 1 there on the screen, and that opens a proper navigation panel. So that includes new chat, search, library, agents, and a new task chat tab instead of one long task list. Number 2 on the screen there is opening agents. So that drops you into a searchable list of every agent you have access to, SharePoint page agent, co-work, Microsoft 365 admin, etc., rather than hunting for each one of them by name. The same controls appear condensed or collapsed on the side we see on number 3. So that's keeping things consistent whether the panel's open or not. And then number 4 there is the Work IQ tab, which is now a single toggle for what Copilot grounds its answer in. So auto or a specific source replacing a scattered set of settings. So that's where it gets all its information about your organizational context. And the formatting toolbar, which is number 5 there on the screen, shows formatting preservation in action. So you can ask Copilot to rewrite a paragraph and change its voice, or you can add your different options within that response. And list formatting also survives there rather than coming back as plain text. So things are looking much more like in the same style as you input them rather than coming back to you in a plain text format. For financial services teams, the agents list, which is going back to number 2, is potentially the most impactful. So knowing exactly which agent answered a question counts when you're relying on that answer being for anything auditable. So obviously AI tools are brilliant, but we do need to know where that data is coming from and be able to audit that trail. So that's a really useful update there that will impact you if you're working within one of those regulated environments. Work IQ matters for the same reason. So again, number 4, it's now really clear whether a response is grounded in company data or general knowledge. So that is a sort of governance grounded question rather than anything that's just give me an answer and risk that AI brain just wanting to please you with a response that's not always necessarily grounded in your company data. So that little toggle there will prove to you or give you that evidence to say that this answer is taken from organizational data. While formatting preservation, which is again number 5, is the purely sort of time-saving one, that does then mean there's no more reapplying bullets, for example, or changing text format, italics, bold, etc. after every AI edit. So that's a massive time saver. I know that particularly when we're using AI, that's one of the just a really simple bugbear where you have to kind of reformat things to make them look like you want them to, especially when you've already provided that that look in the first place. So with all of this, I'm sure some of you are also wondering if anything has changed regarding Copilot outputs. So this is kind of organising the admin side of it, but what's actually changing with the outputs? So let's move on to the next slide. In this update, you can expect a response like you can see in this screenshot. So for example, in this example, what additional analysis has my company recently performed on incidents comes back under a clear heading broken into scannable entries rather than one block of text. Each entry names the specific file, as you can see in the screenshot here, as the separate Word, PowerPoint and Excel docs, wherever it's getting that information from. It also includes details such as who last touched that file and when, and also a one-line summary of what's in it, a thumbnail preview, so you can see at a glance which document is worth opening. So again, what Copilot is doing here is just surfacing all of the potentially relevant documents and allowing you to scan through in a really simple way to see which one is the best for you before you have to open each one separately. Microsoft also says that suggested actions are more relevant now. So the response points the response that points you towards what to do next, it doesn't just sort of surface it, it also tells you that context of why you want to do it or what and why it exists. Having each entry with details such as the exact file name and who last updated it lets you know who might you need to talk to. For example, if you're looking at a document that's edited by someone within your compliance team, you can go to them to ask those specific questions. And you can also talk to them about the next steps, which is exactly what you need for an audit trail rather than just taking Copilot's word for it. You can see exactly where these documents have come from, how old they are, when they were last updated, who did it, who can give you that broader context around it. For anyone who currently builds this kind of what have we done on this summary by hand, trawling through folders and stitching together a list takes hours and hours, whereas Copilot can do that groundwork automatically and bring all of those documents into this one place all by itself. So next time you come to use the Copilot app, you'll hopefully find your way around it quicker, get clearer answers, all while knowing that Copilot is pointing you back to the actual source document. So you've got that bit of peace of mind to give you that groundwork to know where that information is coming from. This update has been an opt-in option from last month, but will become default very soon. So if you don't proactively look for it now, or if you haven't done so already, it will simply be updated at some point during the course of this month. So keep an eye out for the newer, simpler layout, and hopefully it will also help you use Copilot more effectively to support your work. That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? We want to be using these AI tools to speed things up, not to add any confusion. So that's what these updates are aiming to do. Moving on, there are a couple of new Copilot capabilities within the PowerPoint app itself. So anyone who's had to sanity check a set of slides the night before a big meeting knows the drill. You read it cold, you try to spot the slide that doesn't quite match the flow, the argument that maybe isn't quite landing, and you have to do it fast because at that point you've got a meeting the next day and there's not much time left to redraft from scratch. Well, Copilot can now support you with this. So it does this by reviewing an existing PowerPoint deck and offering specific recommendations on the structure, clarity, and storytelling rather than just tidying the formatting. So all you need to do is to point it at the deck you've already built, and it critiques the argument, not just the slide design. So it's actually reading that, the wording, the context, how that story flows across the slides. For those of you who regularly produce board-ready or audit-ready slide decks, this is a second pair of eyes on demand at the point where you'd otherwise just be relying on a colleague's availability or your own tired judgment at 9 p.m. at night. Obviously, I'm not saying any of us here do slides the night before a meeting, but if you were to do so, you've got that peace of mind that you've got Copilot on your side helping you do a final review and sanity check of those slides. Of course, like any AI, you will still need to review these suggestions, but it could pick up anything from a small spelling mistake to a bigger contextual a bit of advice that shows you where you could make your argument or your storytelling a bit stronger across all of those slides. It's also worth noting that this update will be gated by whatever Copilot access your organisation already has, and the skills that it uses rely on the Anthropic model, which will only appear in your tenant if you haven't disabled that model. So those are the things. You're not going to get these outputs if you aren't allowing Copilot within PowerPoint, and you're not allowing the Anthropic model to be working within that as well. This update is already live, so if you've got Copilot access, go try it now and let us know how you get on. Next up, so the keen-eyed amongst you may have already spotted this next feature from the previous screenshot, and it perfectly complements how the review skill that we just talked through on the previous slide. So say within that review skill that Copilot flags a slide as too dense, a wall of text, or no visual anchor. Fixing that today means either rebuilding it yourself, roping in whoever on the team is best with PowerPoint, or reaching for a stock icon on a site and hope it fits your use case. Well, this update also includes a user-initiated skill that you run from inside PowerPoint. So what you can do here is you open the slide, select Copilot, make sure the allow editing option is switched on. So that's number 1 on that screenshot that you can see here. Following that, you open the add content plus sign, which is labeled number 2 on that screenshot. And then you select all skills, which is labeled number 3. Following that, you choose visualize this slide, number 4. What Copilot then does is it transforms any text-heavy slide into a visual image, but builds this on a new slide rather than overwriting the original. So you'll end up with both for comparison. Again, it might not get that visual completely right the first time, so you don't want it to be overwriting all that hard work that you've already done for that text-heavy slide. So what this does is it closes the loop from the previous update. So the review update flags the problem, and this side of it fixes things without leaving PowerPoint or opening a separate design tool. So not only is it being your helpful reviewer that's on side to help you out, but it's also giving you the ability to fix that problem within PowerPoint itself as well. For anyone assembling a set of slides for the board under time pressure, this is a handy tool to make sure that you can get your point across in a visual way without overwhelming people with all of that heavy text. If you've written a lot of heavy text on a slide, you've given all the context, but you now want to make it more presentation friendly, and this is what it's going to help you do. It could be helpful if you're just getting started on a new slide deck too. So you've got your notes, your main talking points, but you're not sure how to concisely show it or what relevant imagery to put with it. This update should help you bring it to life. Even if it's not perfect, and like most AI, it's not going to be perfect straight away, but it might spark an idea that you can then run with, and you can then work with the AI tool with Copilot to improve things further. It's also important to note here that because it creates a new slide rather than editing it in place of the old one, you will need to tidy up the duplicate, remove it, paste it somewhere else, just so you're not duplicating slides within your presentation. This update should be available to you now. So again, open up PowerPoint and try it out. We've covered a lot of Copilot's updates and capabilities today, so why not one more? This is our final one for Copilot. So AI in SharePoint is currently fairly generic. It can summarize or draft, but it doesn't really know your firm's specific standards. So reviewing something like an offer letter or a compliance document can still mean a human checking it line by line against your own template. So this is where this update will come in handy. Custom skills let anyone with edit permissions on a SharePoint site teach Copilot a defined business task using natural language rather than code. So in this example from Microsoft, you will hopefully get a better idea of all the sorts of things that you could set up a skill to do. So the screenshot demonstrates a skill that checks contract documents for a lawyer ID in a set format, and logs any failures to an invalid contract list that it creates automatically. So that kind of matching against the information that you're giving it, the skill gives it the template that you want your organizational data to match, and this tool will then match to that. Skills reuse Copilot's existing capabilities, content understanding and list manipulation, rather than reaching out to the external systems or running custom code. This could be really a massive time saver or absolutely priceless for someone like a fund administrator or a loan agency. Using a skill like this to check offer letters or contracts against internal standards is exactly the kind of repetitive rules-based task that this is aimed at. So because skills stay within SharePoint's existing permissions, it's genuinely a low risk way to hand off that kind of manual work. Again, you've probably got team members that are trying to use some of these tools, not always necessarily using them within that safe, compliant space. This is a way to allow them to do that more securely. This feature will be enabled by default with no separate tenant level toggle, and anyone with edit rights on a site can create a skill, not just admins. So it's worth noting that if you're an IT manager, to keep an eye out for skills that could start appearing on your sites without you switching anything on, and just be aware of who does already have those admin rights to start using them. Microsoft has pushed this one back slightly. It was initially due late May, but it's now due in early July, so it could be rolling out anytime now. We haven't quite seen it yet ourselves, so keep an eye out and let us know how you get on when it's here. If you've got a document check, you run the same way every time. Contract formats, offer letter standards, this is built for exactly that. So have a play around and, like I say, let us know what you end up using for and what kind of skills you end up creating off the back of this. Last up, we are moving away from the Copilot AI heavy updates, and we have got everyone's update, everyone's favourite update rather, Microsoft Teams. So currently the in-meeting toolbar mixes everyday controls, video and chat with less common ones such as recording, captions, the interpreter tool. Everything's there in one long row. So all of the controls you use constantly sit right next to ones that you potentially rarely touch, and leaving a call isn't always clearly separated from everything else. I'm sure we've all been there. We've been on a call with colleagues and someone will accidentally end the call or leave the call rather than stopping sharing what they were sharing. We've all done it. We've all seen other people do it. This is hopefully a fix that will prevent that happening quite so often. We don't like that point where everyone has to sit awkwardly waiting for that poor person to rejoin. So Microsoft are taking steps to simplify our meeting controls and give us a clearer sharing panel, including a new preview section. So again, this is something that will be really useful if you are often on calls sharing PowerPoints, sharing any kind of document. So the redesigned toolbar keeps core controls such as audio, video, share, react, chat, people and Copilot front and center, and it tucks the rest into a single more menu. So number one there on the screenshot is all of the core controls that will be staying as they are. The more menu labeled number two consolidates all of those extra options such as record, captions, facilitator, interpreter, timer, notes, breakout rooms, speaker coach, polls and whiteboard, and amongst many more. It depends how many apps you've added into your Teams view. Most importantly, for preventing that scenario we talked about earlier, you can see here on the screenshot that leave, labelled number 3, is now visually isolated and colour coded in red at the far end, away from the other controls that you might click by mistake. So it's hopefully going to stop you doing that accidental slip of the mouse and leaving a call rather than stopping sharing your content. So when you are moving on to that sharing side of things, choosing what to share opens a dedicated panel with screens, live share and more options tabs, showing your screens and open windows as thumbnails. So there is a similar kind of view to this at the moment, but this is just improving that further. Before you commit to sharing a particular view, a preview pane opens and shows exactly what the attendees will see with layout choices, content only, standout, reporter, side by side, and toggles for content audio and video optimization, all before you hit share. So again, how many meeting minutes are wasted by someone sharing their screen and then saying, can you see that? Have I shared the right screen? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is hopefully going to solve a bit of that problem for us. So you are going to get a preview of what you're about to share, then you're going to send it live and everyone else will be able to see it. So it removes some of that fear of accidentally sharing the wrong screen or window. I know many of you will have client and internal meetings back to back throughout your day, so having leave labelled number 3 there, clearly separated, cuts the chance of fumbling it mid-call and having that embarrassing situation. And the more menu just helps you, it saves you time from hunting through all of your different options through a massive long row of icons. So I do think that preview pane, it's a big upgrade on the preview pane that you currently get, and it will show you precisely what's about to go out before it goes out. So it's kind of a safeguarding thing just for your benefit, to make sure that you're knowing what you're sharing, you know what the other people are going to see when it goes out. You're always going to look good when you're on meetings, whether internal or with a client party. So this might initially take a little bit longer to test out and make sure it's right. So when you're doing that preview, but I'm sure we'll get used to it, and it will really speed things up as well. Unfortunately, this update isn't due to roll out until late August, so it's a bit of a spoiler here that I'm giving you. But let's all look out for it, because I think this will be a really simple update that will make a big impact to our working lives. So this is just a Microsoft preview, but we're really looking forward to getting our hands on it. And that's all the updates I've got for you today. I just wanted to quickly let you know about the next webinar in our series, which, as I say, you'll be pleased to hear that Craig will be back from his holidays, and he'll be back with you for the August webinar. So that will take place on the 6th of August, and you can register for that now on our website. We look forward to seeing you all there, and if there are any topics or questions that you would like us to cover in the next webinar, please do get in touch and we'll be happy to have a look at those. Remember that all of these webinars, as I said, are recorded and accessible through our YouTube channel and website, so please do have a look back through them if you think there's other updates that could be useful to you, and also share those with your colleagues as well. Finally, I just wanted to quickly take you through our stakeholder workshop that Bedroq run, called the Strategic IT Assessment. So this stakeholder workshop is designed to get consensus on your business priorities. It can be conducted face-to-face or virtually, and it gets leaders and investors aligned with the best way to fully assess your IT strategy. There's no cost implications sorry, for this, other than a mutual investment of time. So if you're an IT leader at your organisation and you need a bit of backup to prove to the CFO that you want to make the investment in your IT, or you want to look at new ways of using your existing IT investments, we're happy to take a look at all of these things for you. Just get in touch and we'll set up a meeting to talk through that process. Okay, we've got a little bit of time. Well, we've run over a little bit, but if there are any questions, please feel free to drop those into the box. If not, you are welcome to follow up by email as well. We're happy to answer directly or connect you with some of our in-house experts that can talk you through anything specific that you want to cover. And if there's any question, big or small, user, it could be something as basic as how you use a simple option in Teams, all the way up to that strategic IT assessment. We are happy to help you out. So please do feel free to get in touch following this webinar if there's anything that springs to mind. And on that note, as we have overrun a little bit, I am going to finish up there and just say thank you very much to everyone who's joined us today. Thank you for putting up with me while I've been a little bit rusty, having not done one of these for a while. And as I say, Craig will be back next month. He's looking forward to seeing you again there. And I hope everyone enjoys the sunshine, stay cool, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.